Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's take a moment, greet one another as brothers and sisters in Christ, however you would so choose within your household group, and then everybody else gets the howdy high waves. And then you all get to sit down. So, for our announcements today, up here we have this lovely burning bowl and a candle. And on Ash Wednesday, when we gathered, the people who were here for that service were invited. There's this tradition of giving up something for Lent. So my invitation was, why don't you jot down on a piece of paper that which is weighing heaviest on your heart right now? And come forward, light your paper to the flame from the candle, drop it in the burning bowl. As you look at it and you say, it's wood, I'm going to bet. Don't worry, there's a metal pan with sand in the bottom, so not to worry. And as the smoke rises, whatever it is that's weighing heaviest on you, let it go to God. Give it up for Lent. So, during our second song today, Brad's going to be singing What a Friend We Have in Jesus, Take It to the Lord in Prayer. You're invited to do that. So the little papers are back by the bulletins, and you have all the way to the middle of the service to get that and jot it down. This is an invitation. Do you have to do this if you weren't here Ash Wednesday and we did it again last week? No, you don't have to. But if you would like to, I would invite you to do so. Okay? Let's see. Upper rooms for March, April, out in the entryway. Take them, please. Use them. Give them to people who will use them. Do us no good gathering dust here. And then we got something in the mail. I always wear a comma on my lapel of my jacket. And a lot of people, the comma God is Still Speaking program started 16 years ago. Maybe it's on the back of here somewhere. No, I don't see it. But I think it was 2005 that program started. So we've been doing it for 16 years, and that's almost a generation. And we don't talk about it a lot. So does anybody remember the story of the comma and why we use it off the top of your head? Anybody remember a comedian by the name of George Burns? Yeah. And Gracie Allen was his sidekick and wife. And she played an amazing ditz. That would be the word that you look up ditz and it's Gracie Allen, right? But she was an incredibly educated and deep thinking person. And at the time of her death, they found her diary, her journal. And one of the things she had written in there is, never place a period where God has placed a comma. God is still speaking. And that's how the God is still speaking and the comma thing started. So we have some bookmarks, and I'll just kind of leave these up here, open them up, and if you would like to take one, you can. There's also a program that I was thinking of trying to reinvigorate the comma. They have something coming up in May. What is it's a cute catch. Oh, commas for your mamas. So encouraging that on Mother's Day, which is traditionally a fairly well-attended Sunday, have little lapel pins of the commas available for people. So maybe this year we'll participate in the Commas for Your Mamas program. But in the meantime, if you would like a bookmark with why the comma and an explanation on the back, I'll just leave those there.
So does that mean on Mother's Day that people should not keep talking since mothers are supposed to not done talking then on Mother's Day?
I'm not even exactly sure what you just said.
That'd be a yes, dear.
No, with her, that's your line. Let's see, what else we got going on here? Other than, way flat. Our Lenten film study started this last Wednesday, and we'll be looking at the second 90-minute segment It starts with, for those of you who may not be using the links and actually are live streaming it or looking at a DVD, the section we're looking at for this Wednesday goes from the death of Joseph to Jesus inviting Judas to join the disciples. That's the chunk we're looking at, if you're live streaming or whatever. So Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock, Zoom, and I sent out the link by email, and it's on Facebook. If you need it, get a hold of me, we'll make sure you have that. Any other announcements? Any birthdays or anniversaries? Another good Sunday, everybody's still married, nobody got older. Okay, very good. All right, so our opening song today, because we look at in our scripture and our sermon today, we start to meet some of the disciples and how they came to follow Jesus and some of the details of that. And so, even though oftentimes the music we use during Lent is a little more low-key, a little more somber, it's not all that way. So this is one of my favorite old gospel tunes, and I hope you like it. That bring back some memories for some of you? That one's been around for a long time. I think first time I encountered that song was probably when I was 4 or 5 years old. Vacation Bible School, West Congregational Church, Phoenix, Arizona. as we come to prayer today, and oops, that's why I didn't announce it, because I put it in the wrong place. So one last announcement, although deacons is in charge of the spiritual life, so maybe we can mention it during prayer time. There is a deacons meeting after church next Sunday. So if you're part of deacons, plan on staying for that. So, was reading about the latest stuff with COVID in the paper this morning. So the good news is Johnson & Johnson vaccines come out. The good news is you only have to get one shot with them, but it takes 28 days for you to build up the immune system, so that's, I'm not sure. And there seems to be some data that's definitely pointing to, and I think they're especially looking at the people in the healthcare and education, and that those who have had the vaccine, the incidence of infection is just going through the floor, and those who are electing not to get vaccinated, they are still getting infected at a scary rate. So there seems to be some initial supporting data that says if you can get the shot, do it, it helps. So I was also reading today that there's some troubling things going on with the social unrest in our country. The Black Lives Matter movement has been going on for some time, but there seems to be a sudden spike in hate crimes against Asians, and I'm not sure if that is connected to COVID or not, but I just keep praying for the fact that the one we follow is called the Prince of Peace, and when it comes to the love of God that is freely given, we can't earn it. All we can do is accept it and say thank you. So I keep hoping for peace and love amongst all of God's people. Had an email from Carolyn McElneal, her sister-in-law Rosie, who, 2 weeks ago, the doctors were saying she had a matter of days. She is still with us. She is still failing. And her husband Terry and her son Tim are helping with her caregiving, and I guess she's really going through some difficult stuff and hallucinating, and it's very hard on Terry and Tim. So Carol says not only continued prayers for a peaceful passing for her sister-in-law, but for the strength and stamina of faith and courage, not to mention the physical stamina, for Terry and Tim as they continue to help care for Rosie as she nears the end of her life journey. Let's see. What's the latest with Carol, with Mom?
We got the chemo when we got back right away, but there was a ton of empty chairs due to the chemo. It is mostly manufactured in Texas, and they can't manufacture it without water and electricity, and they can't get it here because all the semis couldn't come across the ice. So a lot of people got put off a week, and we're hoping that in 2 weeks she can get it again. But it's all going to depend on whether or not they can get the medicine. So,
Okay.
but she took it well.
Good.
So.
Well, we've talked about the fact it's about finding that right balance of what the body will tolerate in order to get the maximum impact and positive effect. Once you get there, that's good stuff. And I'm glad we finally got there with her. And I have to say, so shame on me and shame on the rest of us, because at prayer time I always say, is there anything else, anyone else? And we did not pray for our brothers and sisters in Texas last week. I couldn't believe it. I remembered it when I got about halfway home because the news came on the radio. And I thought, oh my gosh, we didn't even, so not only the people impacted by the weather conditions and lack of heat and lack of utilities and lack of water, but I mean the place, how many of you or friends quote unquote, winter in Texas, because winter like that doesn't happen there, So they're not prepared for it, because this was what they call it, the storm of the century. Getting tired of those. Get back to August 10th, the storm of the century, the derecho. And then we hear about other things that, that's why gas prices have gone up, because it impacted refineries in Texas. I didn't know that a lot of the chemo drugs come out of Texas, so that impacts people even in Iowa trying to get their chemo treatments. So praying for the return to normalcy of that group as quickly as possible. Updates, Kate, Josh, Pam, what do we know?
Not heard anything about Josh this week. Pam had a bad week. She had her second Moderna vaccine one day and then chemo the next.
Ooh.
And she knew it was going to be a rough week, and so when I called, she didn't answer, and I just said, love you, call me when you can. Kate is making what her doctors are saying is just incredible progress, but for the rest of us, it's slow. She is off the vent now.
Good.
And she was moved out of PICU yesterday. So she's in just on the regular peds floor. And when she is discharged from the hospital, she will go to St. Luke's Rehab, is what they're thinking. She's still not speaking. She's going to have to learn a lot of stuff over, and they aren't going to know until Kate comes back what she's going to be doing. But it sounds like she has to go through everything that she went to get. From the start of the disease until she got on the vent, she has to back out of this. So she's going to have to go back through the manic episodes and the tremors and all of the stuff that she went through to get there. It's a progression backwards. So she's got a long road ahead of her, but it was very encouraging for her parents to see her move other than just her chest rising from the vent.
Yeah, at least we seem to be at a point where there was serious concern as to whether she was going to survive. Now it looks as if, well, survival is not the issue. Now it's getting her back.
And if anybody is interested in a good movie, there's a movie out about this condition called Brain on Fire. And my sister-in-law's watched it, I haven't watched it yet, and she said that it is exactly what Kate went through, minus the seizures. They don't know that Kate ever had seizures. But minus that, it's everything that she's gone through. And the doctors are saying she will recover, but it's going to probably take 2 years.
That's what,
2 years? No, I mean 2 years of recovery.
never back.
Mm.
How's your mom?
Mom's great.
Good.
Yep, she's just amazing.
Yeah.
My sister and my two sisters, my brother and my dad went to see her yesterday outside the window, and her hair was fixed, and when they pulled in, she knew who they were. She did call my brother and my other brother's name, but hey, that's between my brothers. I knew that. And my dad needs some prayer. He's very emotional. He's just devastated. He took care of her, and he is lost. But Mom's doing great.
Good. Good. So are there other persons, joys, concerns we should be aware of as we come to prayer today? I got Texas in there.
I've noticed something over the last month or so that really makes my heart happy. It makes me very happy that the young people who have worked so hard at whatever their passion is, whether it is drama or music or sports or whatever, they are in some form or fashion being able to participate in their craft. And that makes me very happy. last year's seniors were very, very sad because they lost out on all of that. So these guys aren't doing it like they did 2 years ago, but they're able to do it.
Mhm. And Shirley was just saying that show choir was over the weekend. I said, so how do they do show choir in a pandemic era? And she said, they all wear masks. And I said, how about distancing? And she said, well, they don't necessarily distance on stage, but they're not by anybody for more than a few seconds anyway with all the movement that there is in show choir. So, yeah, so figuring out how does life continue while still trying to be responsible and safe. And did I hear it was yesterday or today is the 1-year anniversary of the first recorded COVID death in the United States in Washington. So it's been a year. Hit us in March, but it's been a year. Others? Yes.
To just go along with that, Gracie over the weekend participated in a virtual dance marathon at the University of Iowa. So she participated in the sort of mini dance marathon at West Delaware for the 4 years she was in high school, and I'm proud of her to continue doing that at the University of Iowa.
It really is going to be interesting to see with all that we've gone to virtually over the last year of how much of that will continue and how much of that will go back to in-person, face-to-face, or a combination thereof. My guess is a lot of churches, even when everybody's back to face-to-face,